Welcome to today's Impact Podcast. I'm Salandra Dean Best, and today we'll be exploring a topic that touches nearly every aspect of modern life: digital assets. Do you know what that is? From your email to cloud stored photos, your digital footprint is a part of your legacy. So, how do you think about your own digital assets? With that, I'm happy to share with you, with Wayne and Lori today, to hear a little bit more about how we explore digital assets and, in particular, estate planning for digital assets. Wayne Hurd is a national wealth strategist, and Lori Booker, also a trust and estate planning advisor, will join us in today's discussion. Welcome, Wayne and Lori.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Now, let's start with the basics. What exactly are digital assets?
Digital assets are any type of asset that someone has a legal right in. It could be things like a cloud storage account, email passwords, social media passwords, and different types of crypto wallets as well. So,
And let's understand a little bit more about the intangible components of digital assets. What's the difference? Are all intangible assets digital?
Not necessarily. Stocks and copyrights are intangible, but they're not digital. Digital assets typically exist only in electronic form. So whether the key is determining whether or not the asset is stored digitally or if it's received or retrievable in an electronic format.
So, what type of assets might a typical family have that they may not even realize they have?
yeah. Too often, families overlook things like royalty programs, tax accounts, tax software, blogs, and even digital photos. Those all count as digital assets.
Interesting. And Lori, the big question is, why should they care about their digital assets?
Well, families should care because in addition to those specific assets that Wayne mentioned, also there's social media accounts and lots of things where you store pictures. And if someone passes away or becomes incapacitated, those assets can be lost if no one can access them. And so planning is important so that you don't lose that legacy.
Can you, as you think about planning, are there types of digital assets? Can you break down maybe the main categories of digital assets?
Yeah, there are four main categories: personal, social, financial, and then also business. When you think about the personal assets, things like photos, music library, medical records. And then social, we all have social media accounts: Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, etc. And then, of course, those financial, think about your banking accounts, PayPal, things along those lines. And for the business, domain names or any type of business interest one may have. So,
And again, these assets can have value beyond just dollars and cents. There's a monetary value, but again, it's family, the sentimental value, family videos, and the peace of mind that you have and that you leave to your heirs by keeping these things organized.
You're absolutely right. As I think about it, I think about my Facebook page. I think about my personal pictures, and you don't realize that what happens to them if I passed away. So, what are some of the obstacles when you think about it? It seems like something that would make sense for families to take care of. What are some of the obstacles that slow families down from addressing
I think
managing their
passwords
assets?
and encryption, those are some of the major hurdles. And to your point about photos, if you think about back when we probably were growing up, you had a big photo album. People actually printed out their photos, right? You go
Right.
get them developed. Now, most people, we just snap it on our phone. Do we ever say, well, let me go get this developed? So how will our loved ones, our kids, next generations access those? So those passwords, any type of encryption device, those are huge hurdles that families usually face.
Right. And even if you leave your passwords, even though you shouldn't leave them written down, there's even the legal structures, the terms of service, and the privacy laws that can complicate things even more. So legal planning is essential.
Wow. I didn't think about those terms of service agreements. So, how would you address that? Can you use your estate planning documents? How do you address your digital assets?
There's a couple of things. I think one important thing to start is whatever jurisdiction you're doing your estate planning in. Different states have different laws. There's also even the powers of attorney may come into play before you pass away. So if something happens to you and someone needs to log in and access things and pay bills, so it's important to make sure that your entire estate plan, both the living piece, the capacity planning, as well as after death. So looking at the laws and structures in place in your state, as well as really trying to understand the laws and the processes available in the application that you're using. So Facebook, Instagram, they may have the ability for you to add that backup person, to have someone have name and have access to it. So it's important to do a little bit of research.
That's very insightful. I never thought about having a backup contact for my Facebook account, for example. But that is something that we can do right now to take some action. So, what exactly is a digital audit? I've heard of this term before. How do you do a digital audit?
Yeah, digital audit is just an inventory of all of your digital assets, where they're stored, how to access them, and basically, so if something should happen, someone knows where to go access those things, and the key provisions they need to access them in the event of death or incapacity.
Awesome. Um, Laura, do you have anything to add to that?
Sure. I think that it's important to, in addition to that, once you make the list, is about storage, right? Securing it, making backups. It's a great thing to have all these assets if you have it stored on your phone, or let's make sure it's backed up to the cloud. You want to try to keep that inventory digitally, but again, somebody's got to be able to access it. So I think having it a written copy and an electronic copy, and making that gatekeeper aware of it, is a good thing to do.
Should you lock it up somewhere? Should you have a safe at home where you put it on actual paper? Or is it better to have it locked electronically somewhere?
I think it
Doesn't matter.
depends.
Just a safe place. So you can do electronic copy, but then if you do a physical copy, whatever safe place looks like to you. If it's a safe at home, a safety deposit box at a bank, whatever safe and secure looks like to you. Not under the mattress.
Well, you said safe. Good point. Good point. So, in conclusion, why is it important for everyone? I think a lot of times when people think about estate planning, they think I have to have a lot of money, I have to have a lot of assets to really worry about. But when you think about digital assets, you know, my 17-year-old teenager actually probably has some digital assets. So tell me why it's important for everyone, not just those who may have a lot, to be thinking about their digital assets in their plan.
Yeah.
Well, I would start with just saying that whoever you are, most of us have some loved ones that we care for and care for us. And that if we were gone, our shared memories or our financial life, the more and more as our financial life moves into the cloud or digitally, it's going to be important that people know. And so we have to plan for these things just like we plan for a bank account or a home. Digital assets are becoming more important and not less.
Yeah, I agree completely. Pretty much everyone's going to have a digital footprint. And so similar when we talk about estate planning, there's usually always something that you own or something that has value that can be transferred to another individual. And the failure to plan creates issues and obstacles. And I believe that planning is one of the ultimate acts of love. When I'm not here, I want to make it easy for you to step into those shoes, understand where things are at so you can cherish these memories and we can leave a legacy to pass on to future generations.
That's it. Well, I would ask you one last question. Are there any action steps that you want this audience to take away, things that they should do um, after hearing today's discussion? Anything specific that they should make sure that they do day one?
Yeah, start with the digital audit, right? Understand where all your digital assets are, and then that secure storage. That's the next step. That's step 2. Step 3, you want to update and back up, right? Make sure that there's a backup to should you get locked out of your own information. You want to have that. And then the last step that I definitely will let Lori expound on more is create a plan, a broader estate plan that includes planning for digital assets as well. That's the critical foundation to this.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Digital assets are only a part of the overall estate plan. We want to make sure the point today is to make sure that you don't forget them. I think most people commonly think of their home and their car and, whatever financial assets, but it's important that digital assets are a part of that plan. And that's just the foundational plan that likely includes a will, perhaps a trust, and those powers of attorney. It's important that you have explicit language to the extent possible to address digital assets and who can be the steward of those in your absence, whether you're alive or if you've passed away.
Well said. Well, thank you both. And thank you to our listeners for joining us on this Impact podcast. Until next time, please take the steps that you heard from Wayne and Lori to make sure that you protect your own digital assets as you develop them over time. Thanks again.
Thank you.